So I binge watched over the weekend that monster show about Ed Gein on Netflix, like almost all of us did. And I know a lot about the story already because I covered it for the podcast. I researched a whole bunch of what happened in the true story of Ed Gein, but I had to, after I watched it, re-educate myself. Because Ryan Murphy, the show creator, he's got a reputation for taking some creative liberties. You know, I wanted to know what exactly was real and what was not real. Turns out, a lot of it's made up. I get it, you're trying to make a show interesting, but let's talk about what was wrong in Ed Gein's Monsters. All right, so the whole thing with his brother, Henry, in the first episode, Ed whacks him on the head with some wood during a fire that he set, a brush fire, basically murders him. In real life, Henry died in 1944 from smoke inhalation after the brush fire, that same brush fire. He did have some mysterious bruises on his head, but there was no autopsy, and Ed never confessed to killing him. The show just kind of decides that he's guilty of that and went with it. He didn't seem to have a problem confessing, so it seems like if he really did that, he would confess. But he didn't. And then there's Adeline Watkins, the girlfriend. She's like a huge part of this show. They're engaged, she and Ed, and she introduces him to grave robbing. She knows about the murders. She takes pictures of the bodies. She's super central to this whole story. But the real Adeline first came out saying that they were together for 20 years in real life, and they were going to get married. And then later on, like a week later or so, she was like, actually, no, I made that all up. We knew each other for 7 months, and I never even went to his house. So the writers basically took her name and built this whole fake relationship around it. They even said in interviews that they couldn't decide if she was real or just in Ed's head. Then there's that babysitting scene with Addison Rae's character, Evelyn Hartley. That's a real person who disappeared, but Ed was never actually connected to her case. Same with those hunters that he chopped up with a chainsaw. The show just added some more stuff to make it more dramatic. What Ed actually confessed to was killing 2 women, Mary Hogan in 1954 and Bernice Worden in 1957. He also dug up a whole bunch of graves and made stuff out of their bodies, which is obviously real and horrifying, but the show added extra crimes on top of that. This whole storyline about Ilse Koch and how Ed was inspired by her. She did probably make furniture from human skin, but there's no actual evidence that Ed knew about her or got his ideas from her. They just made that connection for the show. And those communications that he was having on the ham radio, those conversations while he was in the mental hospital, Ed did have access to a ham radio in the psych hospital, but there's no proof that he ever talked to anybody. There's no specific proof of specific people that he talked to. The creators called it a gimmick in order to dramatize his story. Oh, and the chainsaw I mentioned a minute ago. He never used the chainsaw. He shot one victim and dismembered the other with different tools. They only put the chainsaw in as a reference to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, since Ed supposedly inspired that movie. One more thing. Ed claimed he never had sexual contact with the corpses because of the smell. But the show depicted him doing that anyway, pretty graphically. Maybe the most unsettling part of the whole show. If you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So basically, they took the core facts, 2 murders, grave robbing, body parts as furnitures, and then filled in everything else with fiction. And the ironic part is the show's message is about how we sensationalize killers and turn true crime into entertainment. But that's kind of what they're doing here by making all this stuff up. It's still an interesting show. Don't get me wrong. I thought it was great. Just maybe take it, if you watch it, take it with a grain of salt when it comes to the true part of true crime.